Hello, everyone. We're back for another episode of RK Football Talk. This is me, obviously Matt, and you've got David and Stu back again. The three amigos. We're back.
Hello.
Yeah, we're back
Right.
again.
Well, obviously, what better place to start than obviously the big game of the weekend? Not Arsenal. God. Chelsea versus Man
No.
United. No,
That's what I was
That is
going
not
to
the big
say.
game of the weekend.
That was going to be my little joke.
No, obviously the biggest game of the weekend has got to be the FA Cup final. Obviously, Crystal Palace brought home the FA Cup for the first time in their history. They've won a major trophy. I mean, none of us are Palace fans, but
No.
I mean, you can only imagine how they must be feeling right now.
Yeah,
on top of the
brilliant.
world, really.
Delighted
Did
for
you
them.
watch the game?
Yeah, watched the whole thing. Brilliant.
You were, yeah.
Oh yeah, those Palace fans. I must say. I mean, I know you say none of us are fans of Palace. I'm certainly not a Palace fan, but I've always been a big fan of their fans. I think they're the closest to kind of like ultras that England possibly have. I mean, they really built it out, and especially in Selhurst Park as well. I always remember. Do you remember in Istanbul when Liverpool went there and they were 3-0 up to win the title? They were on the way to win the title. I know Stu might remember that.
Yes.
But do you remember Crystal Palace came back?
Why is it that everything comes at his expense?
I know. Completely unintentional. But no, I always remember that at the end of that match. So obviously they come back and they draw 3-3, and it basically means the title's done. But I always remember the Palace fans just singing the Liverpool players off the park. They did not let them forget about that in a hurry. I've always found them very, very vocal, and just they kind of stick with their team the whole way through. But yeah, it was a great performance from Palace.
Dwight Gale scored the equaliser.
Dwight Gale scored the equaliser, quite right. Yeah,
right.
It was a lovely chest assist from, I think it was Scott Dynamite. Oh no, it was someone. What was his name? Going way off tangent now, but anyway, yeah. But I love their fans, and I think we were all delighted to see Palace get the win there. City really didn't show up, did they? Especially in that second half, they just didn't look like scoring at all, did they? Players like De Bruyne, especially Haaland. I read a stat that Haaland's never scored in a final for Man City, and he's played in 7 of them, I think.
Wow.
And he's never scored in. So he doesn't really show up in big games. It doesn't. I mean, he scores goals left, right, and center, doesn't he? But it seems like for the big games, he tends to disappear a little bit, and he certainly did at the weekend. But
I think for me, he showed that he is not a big game player when he hands over a penalty, which needs to get them back in this game, and he hands it over to Mamouche. I'm sorry, but
was he told that? Was he told that?
It's
obviously it might have been.
Anyway.
Yeah, that Pep. Sorry, mate. Yeah, it was just the Pep. Pep Guardiola is known for kind of like overthinking things in big games sometimes. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's like saying because apparently his Haaland's record the last couple of penalties isn't great. I think I've seen
4 out of 7, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So maybe he's thought, well, gone for Mamouche or the other guy, give him a shot. But what can you do when you got Henderson that was just on fire in that game? What can you do?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, really good.
Big applause to him. I mean, I think you got to think he was at Manchester United, and he had that good season. Was it at Sheffield United? Wasn't it? Sheffield United, that really good season. And then everyone was like, "Oh God, he's got to be starting for Man United," and he stayed at Man United, didn't he, for that season? I believe after that, and he never didn't get a look in, unfortunately.
No.
And then he took a big step of, right, I'm going to leave Man United and I'm going to go to this Crystal Palace, and he has made a name for himself now, and
he has.
You would have to say he's done really well there.
Yeah,
really well.
He was brilliant in that final. What do we think about his potential sending off, or what possibly could have been a red card? What do we think about that?
Which opinion do you want? Do you want my honest opinion, or do you want my completely biased, I hate Man City opinion?
Well, I know which way one of those is going to go. So let's have your honest opinion.
Okay, it's a sending off. It's a sending off every day of the week. Like, he should have been sent off for that. But in all honesty, I was blind. I didn't see it at all.
You were the old Arsene
Wenger ones. I did not see it. VAR stopped working at that point.
I cannot believe VAR didn't. act on that, or didn't?
They checked. They checked
I
it.
know what happened.
They did check it. They did check it, but I can't believe they didn't. What was it they said? Because the ball was going away from play, it wasn't a clear goal scoring opportunity. But I think
handball's handball. Doesn't matter if you go
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, should have at the very least been, maybe a yellow and a free or something like that. But still,
I genuinely think he was sitting there, and he's gone. Hang on a minute, just got to review it, and he's on the mic, and he's gone. You can't give it. Man City will get back in the game. You just cannot give this. Pretend you didn't see it. Pretend you didn't see it.
Or on the computer, you just draw the lines around the keeper. So it's just like to make sure, It's like, no, he's in his box.
Yeah.
Did you guys see at the end of the game so obviously Palace win and everyone floods onto the pitch, and Pep Guardiola strolls onto the pitch, and Henderson goes over to him to like shake his hand or whatever. And Pep gives him the shrug off. Like, no. You can see him lip reading, saying, "It's not fair. It's not fair."
Such a sore loser.
And I just think so graceless. Just shake his bloody hand and get off the pitch. You know what I mean? Like, don't cause it. And they nearly squared up at one stage. You know what I mean?
It could explain.
Have a bit.
I know, mate.
Honestly,
it's what Pep does. He's like, he comes across as one of these people, like when he's winning and doing well, he's all gracious and nice to everyone. But he's like, when he loses, he's very like, he doesn't like losing. But you got to take gracious in defeat. Like,
you do.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons I don't like him. Is because he's too complimentary, and then when he loses, he's such a bad loser as well. Like, the way in press conferences and stuff, he's always like, "Oh yeah, I think this team are always great," and he always like picks at individual players. "Oh, they're brilliant. Oh, they're great." He just praises them the whole way through. I always hated that. And then when he loses, he could be such a bitter loser. And then you see instances like that, you just think, "Oh, for God's sake, Pep, just get off." I think
though, I don't get me wrong. I 100% agree with all of this. I think that he was very wrong to treat Henderson the way he did. The thing that frustrates me most, though, is that he came out afterwards and he said the reason I didn't shake his hand was because of how he was time wasting at the end of the game. He didn't find it professional, all this sort of stuff, how he spoke to him, all of these things. If it's anything to do with time wasting, I am telling you now, you can go through his tenure at City.
Every team does it, though. Every team does it. Yes, no manager has the right to give out about another team time wasting, because every bloody team does it.
When you won the Champions League with Man City, you're telling me at no point in that final you didn't time waste at the end of that game.
Did no one trot over to take a corner when they could have done it in half the time?
Did they walk off the pitch rather than run off like they should?
Like, first time to win their first trophy in their history. And basically they're 10 minutes away, like with a 10 at a time to win it, and basically said, well, let's not concede. Of course, it's going to time waste. Like, what is this? Like,
it's just, if this was Southend United, I'd be saying to them, do the same thing. Like, don't be silly.
We're talking about the same club that got was it the Southampton game? I think, do you see that interview with Ruben? Was it an interview basically questioning Southampton? They're not playing football, or because basically they put 10 men behind the ball and basically stopped City from playing, and they didn't like it because they weren't doing what they wanted to do. And it's like, it's so arrogant. The arrogance of that statement.
What do you expect them to do, Pep? Come out and play like bloody 2011 Barcelona? Like, do you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen.
No, I'm thinking more 2012 Stoke City.
Greatest sides in Premier League history.
But the one thing I think we have to say is obviously Oliver Glasner. I mean, what a job he's done there. I mean, you've got to think he at a point of this season, he actually looked like there was a chance he might have got sacked because they did not have a good start to the season.
No. You could argue that if the league was from January to May, you could argue he'd be manager of the season for this year. Just how bad they were from last year, but then from January onwards, they've just been amazing, and especially with the cup run as well, and the FA Cup, and then obviously winning the trophy. Brilliant. I'm so delighted for them when that final whistle blew. To hoping they would get over the line, and they did. Delighted for them.
Yeah, I think though this now means that if Chelsea win the Europa League. I'm not sure if this is 100% right, but I believe if Chelsea win the Conference League, I should say, and we finish in the Champions League places, I think because Palace won the FA Cup, there'll be no team that goes into the Conference League from England next season.
Really, it'll all be Champions League, Europa League. Oh, right, interesting.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
so, because
Okay.
the amount of teams that would be going into each competition and how it's all
Yeah.
worked out, I believe that could actually happen now.
I think it's 8. I think it's 8 Premier League teams will be in Europe next season, won't it?
Something like that. It
Yeah.
I could swear I read somewhere it could be as high as 8.
be a lot. What do you think of that? What do you actually think of that?
I mean, I think it's
personally,
I think it's a little
that,
bit oversaturated now. I think it's a little bit. It's because it doesn't. Obviously, it's great for the clubs that get in that normally wouldn't, like Palace or Villa, Newcastle, teams like that. But yeah, it might seem a bit over bloated now. With the English sides, maybe it doesn't make it as special for them. But yeah, well, obviously special for those teams, like I mentioned. But I don't know. See, it is a lot, isn't it?
It just seems like, because obviously we've been awarded another place in the Champions League because of the how the point system, which is good for English football. Then if a team from our, like, it was like that scenario we was talking about ages ago, like if a team finished 10th, then all of the top 10 would have been in the European football.
Yeah, well.
And it just, like, I don't think that's right, but then people will sit here and argue that Manchester United and Spurs getting Champions League football after the season they've had
Is it deserved?
is unacceptable. But at the same time, if a team finished 6th in the league but won the Europa League, they'll go into Champions League. So like,
wasn't Sevilla doing that? I'm sure they were like finishing like 13th, 14th in La Liga, and then they're winning the Europa League like it's no tomorrow.
Every year, yeah.
So
Didn't they
it's
win it
like-
like 2 or 3 years in a row with Emery?
So this, I just find that quite funny when they go like, "This is the worst ever." It's like, well, it's not unprecedented. It's not the first time a team that's been really bad league has won a European trophy.
True.
So I mean, West Ham.
Yeah.
They had a bad one. They had a bad season in the Conference League, and then they won the Conference League. So it's not unprecedented, but
true.
But
no, I agree. Well, obviously, talking about European football, obviously this week has been quite a lot going on with the Champions League places. The race for European football has actually really intensified to the point now where third place all the way down to, I believe, 7th. Let me just double check that. I do not.
No, you're right. Yeah, 3rd to 7th.
Yes, 7th. There was 1 point. It was just a point that separates all of them. And that is Newcastle, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Man City, and Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Man City are to play tomorrow night against Bournemouth. Yeah. So they have a game in hand on everyone. Who do you think's gonna do the two unfortunate teams?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my prediction from a couple of weeks ago, where I think when Forest were still 3rd or 4th there or thereabouts, and I predicted that they might. I think they'd had a loss and they didn't look great, and I thought they might just run out of legs towards the end of the season. I think they're at the bottom of that 6 right now. Double check. I think they'll slip out. I think they'll miss out. So I think my top 5 will be Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Newcastle, Chelsea.
Okay.
Oh wait, Villa doesn't. That means Villa doesn't make it as well. Actually, hang on.
Actually, well, it depends on that big game, isn't it? Like, was it whoever wins it gets Champions League? Was it Nottingham Forest, Chelsea?
Yeah. I'd almost even give it to Villa as well. Villa play United on the last day, and they'll definitely win that.
Is that Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
Is that a bridge, right?
It's the City ground. It's at the City ground.
Yes.
So yeah.
We had our last game again. Good luck. Good luck.
Whoa. I mean, yeah, we are facing the one of the best centre backs in the Premier League this season, the best goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. Yes, but may I just point out we have
the best left back in the league.
Yes. That is it, right?
To be fair, your pick was kind of justified after that. We scored the winner against Man United, right?
That just makes him the best left back then automatically. You score against a lackluster United side at the bridge. Yeah. Best left back.
You guys look foolish.
Better than Ashley Cole. Better than all them. Yeah, freaking brilliant.
But obviously, I think Newcastle United. Surely they're going to get in those Champions League places? You think?
I think
like
they will.
I think third's definitely secure for them. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
For me, you say, what do you think? Because obviously, if Man City win tomorrow night, then they go.
They'll go third.
Third.
And they'll have a 2-point gap. And with a better goal difference, so they'll just have to not lose.
Haven't they got Southampton last game?
Oh no, I don't think.
No, because they played Southampton recently. Surely it must be Palace. I think it is Palace, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Silly because there's the whole thing.
No. Sorry, it's not. It's Fulham. City played Fulham in the last game.
Come on, Robinson. I know I didn't put you in my team, but do us a favour.
just get one more assist. Just to,
exactly.
Score the winner. That's all you want.
Yeah.
And I'll admit that I was wrong.
Yeah. But if he doesn't, then you won't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the teams who are left in the race, you've got obviously Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest, Newcastle versus Everton at St James's Park. You've got Man United versus Aston Villa at Old Trafford, and then you got Man City versus Fulham at Craven Cottage.
It's tough because all of the teams still in the top 5 race could feasibly win all of those games. So it's tough. There'll be one slip up though, won't there? Well, obviously, Forest and Chelsea will have to go they're playing each other, so it's tough. I think Villa will be
winner take all match though.
Could be.
Which one? Sorry,
Nottingham Forest Chelsea. Good old fashioned winner take all match.
Yeah, that's going to be that one for sure. Do you know where
Forest have to win? Forest have to win that. They have to win that one. I think
the banana skin could actually be Man City's game. I really do. The reason I say that is because Fulham won on the weekend 3-2 against Brentford, which means they're on 54 points. A win, providing everything goes their way on the final day, takes them into 8th in the table, and that guarantees them European football next season. So if they can pull it together on the final day of the season and actually get something against Man City,
you could be right, actually.
Be right in it. So I think the banana skin could actually be Man City.
Interesting.
But will they fall out? Depends what happens tomorrow night.
Exactly. Yeah, they still have that game in hand. Yeah.
They have had an awful season. They are not allowed to finish in Europe. Champions League.
As I've said many times, it's not fair that basically they can have a terrible season like that and they basically qualify for Europe. And like this is why when we talked about the FA Cup, it's like that's right. You shouldn't have a bad season like you're having and win a trophy. So if they get out of Champions League, it's just it's just been the icing on the cake.
You know what though? Do you know what the thing with City, right? So if they do secure Champions League football, as much as we all don't really like City and all the rest of it, but you'd have to say that why was it a bad season, right? So this is if they do secure Champions League football, right? You have to say why was it a bad season? Because they didn't win the Premier League. That's basically it.
I think there's more to it than meets. Like I get what you mean there. Like
they totally get it. They had that spell. I don't even remember when it was. Was it earlier this year, late last year? I can't remember.
It was like between November to January. It was.
Yeah, where they couldn't win a game. They couldn't buy a point. And all their players were underperforming and all the rest of it. And obviously they had injury issues as well, especially with Rodri. But I mean, apart from that, I mean, like every team goes through a bad spell in its season. The only one who doesn't will probably be the one who wins the league at the end. So you have to say, if City do get European football, the only bad thing that happened to them was that they didn't win the league. Which just kills me to say it, but that's basically it. You don't expect teams like him to. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I think though, if there's more to it than like, for those like in years' time when you look back on this season. Like when you look back on it in the years to come, everyone will be like, "Oh, Man City, say they finished third in the league table, so it doesn't look that bad." But for people like us, we'll look back on it and think they were awful that year. They were so bad at times, and I actually would actually go as far as to say, if it weren't for other teams not being consistently good around them, I actually think they could have had a real threat of finishing outside the Champions League places a lot
Yeah,
more than this.
Yeah, absolutely. If they didn't pull it out of the fire, they could have they could have finished bloody mid-table or something. But it's almost like, if they've had a bad season, then what have United had? What have Tottenham had? But you can't. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. If City finished bloody, if bloody City finished in the top 5, you can't say they've had a bad season. Yeah, I don't think you can.
I mean,
as annoying as it is
it's
to say,
just,
but I don't think you can.
Okay. Here's a fair way of putting it. Okay, we're going to do this now. All right. So if you was to rate, everyone finished where they were at the end of the season now, yeah?
Now, okay. So that means City are in the top. Oh no, wait, City finish outside. Okay.
So say they win. Oh yeah. Say everything ends the way it is now.
Okay.
How would you rate each of their seasons? So Liverpool, you would easily say that's an A star.
Yeah.
Whoever wins the league is an A, whatever. Yeah.
But they've went above expectation 100% as well. So there's those.
Well, you can
Arsenal.
Arsenal are a funny one. I mean, it's another second place finish, or it could again, if you were to say that if they finish in second place. They underachieved or overachieved. I think they've done what most people might have expected. I don't think a lot of people would have expected Arsenal to win the league this season. But on the flip side of that, I don't think many people would have expected for Man City to have as poor a season as they did. And again, I don't think many people would have expected Liverpool to win the league this season with a new manager in. So I think there's a lot of that. But I don't think, and another thing is, I don't think many people would have expected Arsenal to go as far in the Champions League as they did this season. So you could say it flips back and forth, doesn't it? Whether or not Arsenal have had they haven't won a trophy. So I think that's what a lot of people were saying. That I know I was thinking as well. That I think Arteta, for him to be considered, for him to keep his job, to have more longevity, would be to win a trophy this season, and he's not done that. He obviously came close to the Champions League. They were never going to win it, though, were they? But it was a good Champions League campaign for them. But I think that certainly Arsenal probably finished thereabouts where most people would have expected them to.
Yeah.
So you'd have to say they haven't under or overachieved. They're basically on a par with,
if you gave them a C in the a C to,
you can't give a C though. I mean, it's semi-finals, Champions League, second in the league, B plus maybe. Then,
because the thing is that's the thing. If you look at the competitions, then you'd give it then you'd go more a B. But but actually, I think that Arsenal have not really threatened Liverpool at all this year.
No,
they've not threatened them. And in my eyes, after the season that Man City have had, they had to take advantage of that, and they didn't.
Yeah,
but
totally.
Like you say, the advantage is that they have finished second. They are in the Champions League again for another season, more revenue, more all of these sort of things.
Yeah.
But you have to say, they passed this season. They done all right, but next season has to be a big one. Is a huge one for Arteta's future. You would have to say at the club.
I wonder how many Arsenal fans will have been saying that last summer after last season, being like, the amount of people who would have said this next season the season we're in now has to be the one where he wins a trophy. And I wonder how many Arsenal fans will turn around now going, well, no, he's had his chance. I wonder how many Arsenal fans would actually think that he should possibly move on. But I mean, he has built such a good side. It would. I don't think it'd be a great move at all for the board to get rid of him. I think he needs to have one more shot at it, because I mean they are a really, really good side, and they are one of the best in Europe for sure, and in the league, in the country. But I think the time certainly has come to. They need to get some serious silverware soon, don't they, for it to mean anything at all?
Exactly.
I know they got the FA Cup in the first year, which people tend to forget, but still, I don't. It's 5 years ago now, and it was his first year, and it was, not that it was a fluke or anything, but I mean, it was a long time ago, and the side that he's built and their ambitions, the Premier League, Champions League is what there should be, what they want, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I agree. What about you, Stu? What do you think? Do you think that it's a season that has been good?
I mean, I mean, again, I guess the expectation was obviously, I think it's like there was 2 years in a row to finish second, and it was a situation of this season. It was like, okay, third time's lucky, we've got to win it. Like they've got obviously a lot of people are putting City because anyone that wasn't putting City to win the league at the start of the season is a very bold choice. But everyone was basically putting City to win it because they won the last four.
Yeah,
they won the last four. But I think for the expectations, I would say from with City dropping off and how they had an opportunity against us and they didn't really threaten. And obviously, if you look at it from a league standpoint, I would say it's been it's been a disappointing season for them. But as you said, the kind of Champions League campaign's probably going to be like, well, they got further than closest they've been to Champions League since they got to the final in 2006. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's been I think it's a good season in a sense of there is a little bit more progress and they know what they have to do to improve next season. But I think it's because of the City drop off. I think they must think it's disappointment because they had an opportunity there to,
what about
at least challenge for it.
Yeah.
What about this season for you? Do you think is progress? What for you do you think is progress from if you're looking at Arsenal?
How do you mean? Do you mean like what they've done this season? That
is there one thing, and it's just the league. So just the league. Forget about Champions League. Forget about all that. What one thing from this season do you think that is something they can take into next season?
I don't. Well, one thing I know is they've had a lot of draws. So I was looking at the table. So they've had 14 draws.
That's a lot.
I think only Everton have more. And now I don't know if that's an improvement. I don't know how many losses they had last year, but if that might be an improvement, I don't know. But to be honest, I can't really think of many. Certainly scored fewer goals. Just that inability to kind of see games out is what their downfall has been. But I can't see anything that they've improved upon.
I would say the defensive unit at the back. I think that
they were just as good last year. No, do you not think? Just as good last year.
But I think you could argue that this season what has happened is that they had Gabriel Saliba, Raya in goal, and the fullback options were okay at best. Whereas this season, you've now got Lewis Skelly on one side, Timber on the other.
It's more settled, yeah.
Saliba, Gabriel, Raya, but now you'd have to say that when Gabriel comes back, there's not a guaranteed place for him because Kyrgios has been brilliant.
Oh, I think Gabriel walks back into that side. I get what you mean, but Kyrgios has been good, but Gabriel and Saliba together are one of the best partnerships in Europe.
Okay. I think
I get your point. He has been good. He's been a good stand-in for certain. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's what Arsenal can definitely take from this season is that you look at their defence and you sort of know what defence is going to be coming out week in, week out, providing everyone's fit. Yeah,
I agree with that. That's decent. Decent point.
It's
apart from having a more settled defence, which is obviously what you want, especially if you're going for big trophies. Apart from that, I can't really think of anything else that they've done better than last season.
That's it, yeah.
I know you said just Premier League, but the Champions League campaign was the highlight for them, wasn't it?
It was. Oh, yeah, 100%. That has got to be, yeah. Okay, well, what about
Real Madrid specifically? Anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, Newcastle. Would it be fair to say that because they've won the League Cup, no matter where they now finish in this top 6, you'd say, well, top 7, this is a successful season? Or would we say that
I'd be so disappointed for them if they didn't finish in the top 5. I mean, look, they've got Everton at home, like at St James's Park on the last weekend. You'd have to. I think they could run over Everton. I think there's every chance they finish in the top 5. I think they have to for the season that they've had, winning their first trophy, the performances they put in, the consistency they've had. They deserve to get European football, and they do themselves such a disservice by mucking that up. You know, and obviously with this season, when you think about Liverpool, it's impossible to split winning the League Cup with the Premier League form because it was so good for them and for the club, and it was just great for everyone involved and the manager and and everything. So, Yeah, it would be such a letdown. They'd let themselves down if they. I'm talking like I'm their manager giving them a pep talk, like come on lads, one more game. But you know what I mean. But yeah, but I think they certainly deserve. They have to do it.
Yeah,
for the season they've had. Yeah,
I agree. What about you, Stu?
After me, I think it's because like the performances last couple. Obviously, after they won the League Cup, and obviously the performances they've had the last couple of months. Obviously, after that, yeah, I think they would be very disappointed if they don't get top 5 and get into the Champions League. And obviously, it's yes, they've entered that duck of they finally win a trophy, so that kind of weight to be off them, so they can maybe progress to maybe possibly challenging for the league at one point. But I would say they would be disappointed. I mean, because obviously they play such good stuff this season. They're playing some really good football, and I think I think it would be interesting to see them back in the Champions League and have another crack at it and see if they can do a bit better than obviously last time they went there.
I think that the most important thing for them getting Champions League football has to be the incentive to keep Isak at the club.
Yeah.
Because we've discussed it last week.
Yeah.
They don't get it. Why is Isak, in the nicest way, why is Isak going to stay? Because he's one of the best strikers in the world now. You would say.
Another incentive for them to get that last one at Everton.
Exactly. I mean, I think they will. I think they will.
Oh yeah. I think that'll be like 3-4-0 or something. Yeah. But yeah, huge for them to keep Isak. I agree.
I think it'd be fair to say that this season has been a very good season. If they get in the Champions League, it is an amazing season.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about Chelsea? Come on, we're going to finish fourth. We're going to do this.
Who Chelsea playing last game?
Nottingham Forest, like we said.
Sorry, we spoke about it. Yeah,
it is.
That'd be a good game. I think that's definitely the match most people would be tuning in for.
Because Cucurella is going to score the winner.
Watch him get a hat trick or something and further solidify. And Matt would be like, see.
I love that.
Watch him do something nuts. Bicycle kick from the halfway line.
You got like contact with him ever since you put him in your team of the season. It seems to be like, is he going to be like he's put his form up just to like, cheer
with the
you
Ballon
on
d'Or in 2 years' time.
1 minute. Hello, Cucurella. No, I call him Kooks. Sorry.
Yeah. If we're talking about if we're talking about Chelsea, and if we're talking about the season they've had, I mean, it's been good. I think they would, given the first half of the season specifically, that would be enough to kind of look, you don't just stumble into Champions League spots, obviously. So if you're there, thereabouts, you deserve to be there, kind of thing. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did finish in the top 5. I wouldn't be that surprised at all, to be honest. Maresca's done a good job this season, I think.
I agree. I think he's been. I know I've not always sung his praises because of how the season has gone at times, but we are in the Champions League places with 1 game to go. That is literally. And if someone said to us beginning the season, you're in the chance of winning the trophy and a Champions League finish, Chelsea fans would have been buzzing with that.
Oh yeah, we've talked about it many times before. I mean, that's more than mission accomplished, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but then Aston Villa, obviously, you've got as well. It would be nice to see them finish 5th. It would be nice to see them finish get in them places and actually be back in it again, especially after the season they had in Europe as well.
Yeah,
I mean, they nearly turned over PSG, who could actually go and win the Champions League. It was a fantastic game. Am I right in thinking? No, Carl has been on since that game, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he has been.
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he has been. I'm sure he has. If not, then it explains a lot. Sure. But yeah, I think obviously the biggest upset out of all of it was, you would have to say, is Newcastle. Out of all of that, for how it's sitting now, if Newcastle fell out of that,
you could argue that. Yeah, you could argue maybe not Forest for how long they've been sitting in 3rd place. And it's only in the last month or so that they've really started to fall. You could argue they'd be the most disappointed to miss out. You know, I mean, Newcastle have had a great season, and they'll probably fight for Champions League. They'll be thereabouts next season for Champions League spots, and they won a trophy. Whereas for Nottingham Forest, this is the cap. You know, if they miss out now, it just the whole season just doesn't really mean anything at all. It's been a great season, obviously, with a few really good standout performances. But I think if you don't reward them, if they don't reward themselves with a Champions League finish, it's almost like, you know, what was all that for, kind of thing. For how often they were in, for how long they sat in third place, you know.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Actually, you do make. I do actually think that is a valid point, because they were probably, if you look at all those teams that are involved in the race, they were in there the longest. So yeah, no,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly, yeah. And out of all of those 5, you'd say, what's the one team that at the beginning of the season you would say would not be in the Champions League race? 100% of fans would say Nottingham Forest, even the Nottingham Forest fans. You know, so
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think so. The obviously you've got all the other games that happened this weekend. Well, I think my favourite thing from this weekend, yes, Chelsea winning was a big result. I was absolutely buzzing. My little one was asleep. It was so frustrating. My little one was asleep right there, and I've got a little one. She's only 3 months old, and she was fast asleep. And Cucurella scored, and I'm like this. I like that.
You should have woken her up.
Yeah, like my partner's looking at me thinking there's something wrong with me, but I'm like, no, I've got to be quiet, because if I say anything, you're going to go mad at me.
Wake up, the best left back in the world has just scored.
But no, the best thing for me that from this weekend though has got to be Jamie Vardy scoring his 200th goal on his 500th appearance. What a way to go out! And I love how the club have said, we don't want you to, like, I don't know if it's his decision or the club's. I reckon it's his. But to finish your career on 500 appearances at Leicester and 200 goals, I think that's amazing.
How satisfying is that? Yeah, it's kind of really nice. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before, obviously, already, but I mean, what a player, and what a career he's had, especially at Leicester. Obviously, he's been through the whole football pyramid in England, hasn't he? You know, but yeah, 500 appearances. I had no idea it was that many. When it first came up, it came like, bloody hell, it's a lot. And great player. And who knows what we may see him in the Premier League next season. We may. I don't know if it's been released yet, what his plans are, or if anyone's been in touch with him. Or
I reckon there's someone been in touch with him. Definitely.
I'm still my opinion on Leeds. I still think that's the best
Leeds,
way.
I can see it. Yeah,
might not be a bad shout.
But yeah, it's I think that after the career he's had, the other bit I liked as well was seeing all of the old players come back as well. Like the title winners, like Wes Morgan.
Great.
Was it Jay Simpson, the one that used to play for United as well? Danny Simpson, that's it. Danny Simpson was there as well. Okazaki, do you remember him?
Okazaki, he was great. Didn't he come in after the season? Was it after the title-winning season? Did he? Or
no,
was
he was there on the title-winning season.
He was there, wasn't he? Yeah. Okazaki, what a little player he was. Yeah.
And there was one I saw in the there as well, and he weren't in the lineup, but now this is going to test our knowledge a little bit.
Right, go on.
I know he's the player, but basically that's it. Yes.
Is it actually? Oh, I knew it.
Yeah.
Yes. What a shout. Yeah, what a shout. Because I knew as soon as he said, because I actually had him in my head before you started talking about him. I was like, oh yeah, do you remember him as well? It's like ULLUOA or something like Ulloa. Yeah, he was great.
Wait, isn't the one that used to play for Brighton and they signed him for Brighton?
I think so.
Yes,
or did they not sign him from abroad? Did they?
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
I think Brighton signed from abroad and then he went to them. I believe if that's right. Okay. But yeah, he but I saw him there and I was like, oh my god, it's like nostalgia overload.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But yeah. Well, there was one thing that obviously with all these transfers are now starting to come out now for the clubs. Obviously you've got Frimpong, who sounds like he's going to be joining Liverpool in the next. Well, he had a medical apparently today, by the sounds of things, and he could be joining as soon as. And obviously, I think that's a great way to start the window. like to get a player like that in. But do you think that Connor Bradley's been given a fair chance, or do you think it's just competition?
I think it was more. I think it'd be good competition. I think because obviously I think was it 2021? I think Connor Bradley's he's still quite young, and then kind of thrust him into that kind of like, here you go, you're now our first choice, kind of right back is kind of, I don't think it's fair on him. And but yeah, I mean obviously he's still, you forget this season he's had a couple of big injuries as well, so he is still a bit kind of injury stuff prone a little bit. So but. Yeah, I think he will get his time. I think what I found about Frimpong that's quite interesting is the idea that obviously like he's more attacking than Trent because of like how he's more of a kind of winger than he is a like kind of a defender.
Yeah.
But what I like about him is like what Liverpool always do is we always have players that play multiple positions. You could sit there and say maybe we've found our kind of like maybe solution for the Mo Salah situation when Neely goes away, because the guy can play on the right as a right winger. And obviously the guy's got electric pace, so it could. You're
not going to sit here and say that he's going to score you 30 goals a season now, are you?
Well, in the first,
he wanted to. He
wanted to. You could tell, didn't you? We found a replacement. We found a replacement. Yeah. You've not found a replacement.
No, not in the replacement of goals, but just like it's when Mo Salah goes, someone's got to play in that right wing.
A serviceable substitute. Yeah, when Salah's not.
You score about 5 goals a season.
Yeah,
three of those coming against Wrexham.
Yeah, in the FA Cup 4th round or whatever.
But to be fair, I'm excited. I have to admit, I've been watching reading a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff on him, and it's like, it's one of those fixed situations. It's like you get so used to Liverpool kind of not doing. The last time it was just like we're all panicking and going crazy because we weren't signed anyone, but now it's like the window's not even open yet, and we could have one, possibly 2 through the door even before the window opens.
What's the fees due? How much are they going to get him for?
From what I've heard, it's like 30. From what I've heard, like 30 million, because he's got a release clause. I think of like 30 or 40 million. That's in
cheap, isn't it?
On this market, in this market, that's like, but like, yeah, I mean, I'm yeah.
Do you, like that just like when I hear a transfer like that and they go 30 million, like you say, it in today's money, it's like pittance. I remember when I was younger and Chelsea signed Andrei Shevchenko for 30 million from AC Milan, and that was a record fee in the Premier League. And you just sit now that's like, 30 million. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I remember
it all changed since Neymar, didn't it? Neymar to PSG.
Yeah.
That's what changed. That's what changed the whole market.
It's like Will Ferdinand when he signed for, was it Leeds to Man United? That was like 30 odd billion or something. And that's supposed to be like the most expensive.
Yeah,
I think like 30 million used to be like the highest price tag back in the day, but now it's barely anything now. But yeah,
and 95 million gets you Anthony, doesn't it, David?
Hey, one of the best players in La Liga this season.
It seems to be a story.
Funny, Anthony. You mentioned Anthony, right? So do you remember a couple of months ago he was doing really well. He scored I think a brace in a La Liga game or something. And one of his teammates came out and said we should do a crowdfund to keep him at the club. Like, can you imagine anyone saying that about Anthony? Like, at the beginning of the season, how bad he's been.
There's a common denominator in this whole discussion of it. Seems to be, as we said many times, former players that leave Man United seem to find success.
It's ridiculous.
So
always happens. Certainly recently, anyway. Yeah.
But obviously, we have got that game round the corner. We've got the Europa League final this week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Spurs versus Manchester United. It is going to be an amazing final. I am.
Do you know what? It's
definitely going to come.
Sorry,
for sure. No, go on.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be shit. I mean, it's gonna be such a bad final. Look, because both teams have injuries. So, I mean, I know Spurs are missing Kulusevski and Maddison. United have a few that they're waiting on: De Ligt, Dalot, Yarrow, and one other I can't quite remember. But it's gonna be such a cagey, like overly ponderous kind of, because it's not going to be a case of both managers being desperate to win. it's going to be a case of both teams and both managers being terrified to lose. Because I think just especially with all the media and certain people in the media talking about how big a game this is for both clubs, especially United, I think there's no way they'll be able to kind of push that out. I think, yeah, for the players and both managers, it's a season-defining game of football for both of them. And yeah, I think it'll be so. You've heard it here now, 0-0. It's going to go all the way to penalties. I have a feeling. I just think it's going to be a real slog, and United to win it. But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a very exceptional game of football. I think anyone who's seen these two teams play for most of the season will agree with that. Obviously, United have had put in really good performances recently, especially in Europe, obviously, to get to the final. But yeah, especially with the injuries and stuff like that, and again, just with everything that's on the line for both of these teams, I just don't see any way this is going to be an open game with with kind of flair and goals and this and that. I really don't think so. I think it's going to be a tense, cagey affair. Yeah.
I think that obviously we don't know Ruben Amorim as much as we do Postecoglou. We don't, and it's going to be. I think from what we've seen so far, I think the way that each of them play, Postecoglou has the more cup final style of football that's going to win you the game. But
yeah,
if your team is fully fit, and his team is not fully fit, and the same like you say with Manchester United as well, I don't know what I'd go for in that. I really don't.
I don't know.
I do not want to be tuning in.
All I'll say, I just don't see. I just don't see it being won in 90 minutes. Sorry, Mac.
You don't.
Cross you there.
You don't at all.
Well,
Tottenham's got. You don't see it at all, David. You don't see it at all being won in 90 minutes.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously,
you got to sell the final.
Oh man,
it's going to be, and I am going to be wicked nervous watching this. Like, but but what was I going to say? It's funny, both managers. I mean, you say we don't know one more than the other, but I mean, what we know about either of them is that they have been brutally honest. Again, almost to their detriment all season long. Mostly after damaging defeats, when all they can really do is tell the truth, and sometimes more truth than what's actually been asked of them. They seem to volunteer a lot more information than they actually need to, kind of thing. Especially when they're put on the spot like that. But I don't know if it does go. No, I just can't see it. Maybe being an extra time. It's just going to be terrible. It's just not. I just don't see it being a great game. It's not going to be a great game.
It's going to be 1-0 to someone. I think it's going to be a 1-0.
Yeah, if it is a 90-minute, it's going to be a 1-0. Do you know what it'll be like? It'll be like the Liverpool Tottenham Champions League final 2019. One of the worst games of football I've ever seen, where there was a goal in the first minute,
we won the final. We can't be that bad.
And but you remember it's few though. It was a terrible game. Salah got a penalty in the first minute, and then I think Origi got a goal in the 90th minute, and nothing happened in between.
No, it's because it's because basically was scuppered their entire game plan in the first couple of minutes because we got a penalty, and then after that they were on the front foot, and then after that it was just like we were defending, they were attacking. It's just like
it was bad. It was bad.
I mean, as a Liverpool fan, it was great, but as a neutral,
But as a neutral watching a game of football, it was just like there's nothing happening. Very bad game. But I think it'll be like one of those. And if it is to be won in 90 minutes, a 1-0. I don't see it being a goal fest whatsoever.
Doesn't it?
Go on, Stu.
Yeah, no, just because there's a lot of thing going around. Like the year of the underdog. Everyone's ending their ducks. I think it's obviously Palace. We talked about obviously Newcastle. Randomly in was it Salia? Was it Bologna won the Coppa Italia? But the way things are going, it seems like it's maybe this is the season where people end their trophy drought. So if we go by that logic, then it's probably going to be top.
Oh my God, man! They so don't deserve it. We definitely deserve it more than Tottenham, man. Jesus Christ! You know what? As well, most episodes anyway. I've been saying that even if Spurs do win the Europa League, touch wood they don't, but even if they do, that Postecoglou will still walk. More and more, I'm seeing people kind of reputable pundits and all that kind of saying kind of the same thing, and it's kind of filling me with more and more confidence and kind of. I'm happy I made that as that prediction as early as I did, because I think in the beginning you guys are like, oh, that's a bit strong, but I think that's what will happen. If they win the thing, they'll say thanks for the first trophy in however many years, and off you go. We'll get a proper manager in.
Wouldn't he be vindicated though if he wins the trophy?
No.
Because he did say at the start of the season he's going to
That's
win.
not
He always wins the
vindicated.
trophy in the second season.
That's not vindication. That's delivering that does nothing against their league form though, because their league form has been stinky as anything. Do you know what I was looking at as well? Just how bad these two teams have been. So if you look at both of their last 6 games, so if you put them together, that's 12 games. That's 10 out of 12 games that they've lost in the league. Out of the, they just such bad teams, man.
It's awful. Like Man United have got 8 games without winning. Like it's awful, and the record they're breaking is terrible as well.
Yeah.
The two teams are so lucky that basically the bottom 3 have been really bad this season, because if they weren't and they were up for the code, you could seriously consider seeing Man United. If
someone playing in the Championship next season.
Imagine that.
Oh,
imagine like United and Tottenham last game of the season, and they both have to win. Like imagine them in a relegation battle at the end of the season. Like who would have seen that coming? But I mean, yeah, I agree, Stu. It wasn't that far off, was it? Jesus.
I saw someone did was it a video on it when I looked at it. It's like points wise, it's like most seasons you would have been either in the relegation dogfight or in the bottom 3. It's
just been one of the worst bottom 3s, thankfully, ever. But yeah.
I'm actually going to go out on a limb here. I'm looking at it from the perspective of how Man United have played in the Europa League and how Spurs have played in the Europa League as well. I think it is going to be 3-2 in going into extra time. So 2-2 at normal time, and there'll be a goal in extra time to win it. And it's going to be Harry Maguire with a header.
Yes, man. Yeah, slab head. Let's have your slab head, please.
It's got to be, isn't it? But
that's a very specific scoreline. But
I think 3-2, Man United, they're going to win it, and it's going to be the start of a good transfer window for Ruben Amorim, and then Postecoglou will then get sacked the same week of the final.
He leaves.
Spurs were to win it,
very specific prediction.
If Spurs are to win it, though, I'm telling you now that they will not sack him. They will not sack him.
Maybe they won't, but I've thought for the last couple of months that they would. And I thought, well, maybe the only way that would change is if their lead form significantly took a massive upturn in form, but it hasn't. It's gotten worse. And even with their injuries coming back, even with certain people coming back into the squad, it's actually gotten worse, surprisingly. No, I think they will get rid of him if they win it. It's such a weird negative feeling about this bloody final.
Though, don't you think?
Say again, Matt.
I think reputation is also on the line here, because it's like they've both been willing to play this badly in the league. Like, forgive me for being wrong, but it does seem like they've been that bad in the league because they're so focused on Europa League that they have to win it now. They have to now win it to make this save this terrible season.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what I have in my head? Do you know what I have in my head, though? And I don't know if it's the same with a lot of United fans. I don't have in my head, please win. I have in my head, don't lose. I think that's what it's like for both teams. It's just like, do not lose this bloody match.
Down. Do you know
what I mean? To the point where, it's our first European final since 2017 when we won it against Ajax, with Mourinho in charge. So I mean, I'm excited for it. It's a European final, but at the same time, I'm just like I'm more just like, if we lose this bloody match, like, do you know what I mean? That's the kind of mentality, because it was just like a slight up. It would just be, obviously a nice way to end such a bad season. And if we lose this, I mean, I don't know.
This is going to sound really horrible, but from this reaction, I kind of want Tottenham to win it now, just because it'd be like.
Oh, that's not very nice at all.
It's a bit like that is a bit like was it Carl when he lost the quiz?
Yeah. No, I won't be that miserable. But believe me. I'll see if they do. If United do lose, I'll come on to the next podcast and go, well, do you know what? I only expected that. I expected that to happen. Jesus Christ.
Here's my resignation.
I'll be jocular about it. I'll be upbeat about it. Don't worry. If I won't be a miserable.
Yeah. I think though, there's one other thing that backs my prediction, and this is it. Okay. Spurs have beaten Man United in all their other games this season. So it only makes sense that the most important game of the season, Spurs are to bottle it.
I put no stock into that because a sort of not meaningless, but a sort of a game in August, September of the Premier League when nothing's really at that much. There's nothing really at stake to a European final. They're two completely different.
Exactly,
so I don't put any stock in that. But I know, they did the double overs. I know that, but I mean, they're
the biggest bottle jobs. Well, they're not actually, are they, Stu?
We don't speak
about
that.
Biggest bottlers? Who are the biggest?
They won the league,
no,
Matt. They won the league. He's invincible.
No. Stu wanted to mention it at the beginning of the podcast.
Ah, yes.
Obviously, the biggest turnaround probably in European football happened this weekend. I'm not talking about Liverpool. Do not worry.
Okay, that's not us.
I'm saving that for next season when you bottle the league. No, obviously Ajax. How many points were they clear?
9.
9.
And I think they beat PSV or something in their crunch game, and they were 9 points clear, and they've bottled it. That's just like I've never seen it. Like, I mean, obviously I've seen some like that, but yeah, I remember seeing that. It's just like because obviously at the moment we all remember last season how bad Ajax were. Like, because obviously how like we were joking they might go down and stuff, but then I mean I remember seeing that. It's just like like PSV having like a terrible run. I think at one point they were like really bad, and then they've come back and gone and won it. It's a proper title races that we want, right? Like the kind of ones where last game of the season, whoever wins you with both. I think they both won, but obviously it's just not enough. But yeah, Ajax must be kicking themselves. They're 9 points clear. They should have won. They only need like 1 or 2 wins, and they had it won, and they blew it.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah, and then obviously, I think that when that sort of thing happens, the funny thing is that we always joke about it. Like, I don't know, a team like Liverpool, they had such a big gap, and it was like all they've got to do is win 3 more games, they win the title, sort of thing. And you always joke about like, oh, they're going to bottle it and everything, but to actually do it. Like, oh my god, and Henderson be one of the players as well. Like,
I forgot he was at Ajax. Oh yeah,
he was there as well. Yeah, I'm not rubbing my hands in happiness. Don't worry.
Have that, Henderson. Enjoy it. Soak that up.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think that's it this week for everyone. So yeah, but thank you for listening in again. Obviously, the next time we'll be talking. It'll be after the Europa League final. So take this picture in of David because it may look very different after.
Win or lose. Hey, no, you know what? Win or lose, I'll always have a smile on my face. Don't you worry about that. I might have a whinge every now and then, but hey, nothing but positivity. Nothing but positivity over here. But we'll see. We'll see.
But it could be very like me and David could be very happy after this week and be very happy on Monday, or we could be very upset and Stu could be doing the podcast all by himself. So we'll have to see. So no one is joining me this week.
Just be talking about Liverpool and Matt.
But yeah, take care everyone, and we'll see you next week. All right then.
Bye guys.
See you later. Bye bye.